Welcome to the Mentors Office podcast. We are happy that Andy and I have managed to once again record together and sit down for another conversation. It always feels valuable when we get the chance to bring our different perspectives into the same conversation. So, Andy has been having some incredible conversations around AI lately, especially with executives, some leaders, and people thinking seriously about where all of this is heading. So, through those discussions, both of us have been learning a lot about the opportunities, some shifts that are happening in business and the way AI is beginning to reshape how people work and think. Today, we are going to challenge some of those ideas, especially through a creative lens. What creativity really is with AI and whether tools can replace taste and human perspective. So, this episode is about AI, but it's also about using our imagination, creativity, knowledge, and how we are adapting in today's digital transformation. So, hi, Andy. Very happy that we can discuss this, especially since I'm about to begin a master's in creative direction with AI. So, to give some context, creative direction is about leading the vision of a project. Projects are not only about execution, but ultimately about the storytelling, branding, messages, styles, and the overall experience. So, of course, our creativity is at the core. Our ideas are what mattered most. But in today's digital transformation, AI can help with this process. So, what do you think? First of all, hi, Andy.
Hi Annie, nice to see you again.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been learning a lot about the last episodes. So I'm actually very curious, like, what's the most surprising thing you learned recently about AI that has changed your perspective?
That's a very good question, Annie. And I have been reading a lot of things, taking courses, going to communities, and I want to tell you a little bit more about it. As I was saying, I read some very interesting books, Annie, and one of them that helped me with to learn more about AI is this one from Ray Kurzweil. I don't know if you know Ray Kurzweil, Annie.
No, this is pretty new to me. So, like, if you can explain more and what's the
Okay,
context?
Ray
Yeah.
Kurzweil is one of the most important people in AI, especially from the theoretical perspective. He
Okay.
was one of the first, yeah, one of the first studying this topic back in I think in the 50s, 60s,
Okay.
because the AI field is actually very old. It's in the very early 20th century. And
Yeah, and
he,
that's interesting because everybody thinks like it's just like a new thing. Yeah, and it comes
you
like
know,
from long ago. Yeah.
exactly, it became formally a subject of a study in the 20th century in the universities. And even before that, I think that we can find references to AI in stories and people already thinking about this. And this person is important because he was the one that predicted the the chat GPT moment, let's say like that, when
Hmm.
we're going to pass the Turing test. That is a test where machines were getting, let's say, to a level very similar to humans in many of kind of
Yeah,
intellectual
and this was
tests.
like explained in the movie in the Enigma Code about the about Alan Turing. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
he's very important because of that. And he actually said that in one of his books in the year 2000 or the 1999. So it's everyone thought at the time that he was crazy and mistaken. And
Mm.
but now they think, hey,
Yeah, she was
they
right.
actually see that he was right.
Yeah.
And the way that he did that was by the Moore's law. That the Moore's law is a law related to transistors, where this professor or researcher called Moore, he saw that the number of transistors and the computation power was doubling every 2 years, something like that, and it was growing exponentially. And at that rate, Ray Kurzweil said by the year 2030, we're gonna get to, you know, to something. uh, very similar to AGI, I think, was his prediction. And well, here we are. The ChatGPT in 2022 passed the Turing test, like something like that, and we are getting very near to supercomputers with really advanced capacities. And in this book that I recommend, that is called "The Singularity is Nearer," he
Hmm.
explains what is going to happen, and some very interesting concepts such as exponential growth, such as accelerating returns, and the law of accelerating returns, and also what we know as recursive self improvement. I don't know if you have heard about that,
No,
Annie.
but like, okay, so this is like, okay, so you provide like a lot of context about this, but do you like what would be like practical examples from like the theory that you're mentioning?
Yeah, one of these is the law of accelerating returns.
Hmm.
And this basically means that the returns that we're going to get from a particular technology or tool are not gonna, because what typically happens is that it plateaus, gets to a level, and then we start getting like diminishing returns. But in this case, these kind of technologies can help to improve the technology at a
Okay.
faster rate.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
each time that you have a better version of, let's say, an LLM, that that version of the LLM can help us to improve the LLM faster.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Okay.
so,
Wow. Okay.
you know,
So
so
it's a
this
continuous process.
So that is why these kind of technologies are exponential, and
Okay.
people are not realizing how powerful these are going to be, because these
Okay.
are technologies that help to improve themselves faster. So it, we're going to get results a lot faster than we like, even more impactful things faster than we were used to. So that's why, and we're going to get
Okay.
it
So you
in
mean
different fields.
so when you feel like and you mentioned like this improvement, you mean like everywhere?
Yeah, well, everywhere when we're gonna feel the impact of this, that it's gonna be impacted by this industry, yeah, and some more than others. Exactly. So the let's say the closer they are to digital technologies, the faster that we're gonna see their improvement. So
Hmm.
that's the first thing that I learned, Annie, and it's pretty cool. And I learned it from this person, and also from a very important podcast that I really recommend, that is called Moonshots, from Peter Diamandis and his team. If you don't know him, he's a doctor, and also he is a space engineer. Well,
Okay.
not a
Wow.
space
Pretty
engineer, but
interesting.
his undergraduate was that. And he has this great podcast where he talks about all of these technologies, and they're cutting edge. So I
Okay.
recommend it.
Okay. Okay. Pretty cool. And so, when you've been when you've been speaking with some executives and leaders inside the industry. So what do you think is still a misunderstanding about AI? So for me, perhaps you can clarify, and I want to listen to your perspective. Um, you know, they are saying that even colleges, some courses, and people are learning about AI, but inside the creative industry, and most people, I mean, not most people, but like I feel like vast majority of people think that AI is stealing, using AI is cheating, and AI is just like not good. Period. So, what do you think about that?
There are several points in there, and I think it's very interesting. One of the things that there are thought in the industry, other things that you mentioned about more like education, but
Yeah, yeah,
definitely what I think is that I think that many in the industry part, I think that many it's hard. It's hard to think. But for example, for tech companies, I see that they're moving a lot in adopting these kind of technologies.
yeah. But
They
are they
are
succeeding? Because like rumor has it, I don't know if you're familiar with this story, but basically, there is a story that IBM um, fired a team, and because they were using AI. So basically, they said that the AI was doing better than this particular team. But then they had to rehire the people were recently fired because the AI was underperforming or just like making a lot of mistakes. So that's like one thing. And the other thing, like let's talk about education since you and I were kind of like we work in education as well. We're mentors. We like mentoring others. And what do you think when people use AI to do everything, right? Like, so the other day I just read that there are universities and there are professors that do not allow the use of AI. They actually want you to use books, go to the library, just like the old times. So I don't think I agree with that because, like we have to kind of like adapt and use these new technologies and perhaps just like adapt the way of teaching, right? The way like use new resources and work with that. So yeah. So what do you think?
I think that in the universities there are like two paths. One
Hmm.
that is the universities and professors that punish the use of AI and just want to create like a bubble where there's zero AI inside that bubble.
Yeah.
And the other one is the one that accepts AI, that lets free use of AI. And what they do is reinvent education in
Yeah,
the
to
AI
just
era.
like
So there are
yeah,
those two.
like a different way of learning, I would say. And like perhaps you would kind of learn more if you use the AI as a tool to support your own knowledge and your ideas. And that's the way I use it. Like, at work, whenever I do something, I don't think the AI is capable to do the entire work. He needs guidance. He needs my perspective and like my direction. So this is where I'm at. But I know that like many environments are going against it. And so that's that's just like a pretty popular idea right now. So do you think by the end of the day, do you think like people are getting bored with AI? Some people um really dislike AI content.
What do you mean
And
about getting bored? And do you mean into the in education or what?
like in general, yes, like education, like whenever something is AI generated, people are like disliking it. For example, there are I would say like customer service agents that will take care of your case before a human uh, does it. So, for instance, that's pretty frustrating because sometimes, let's say that you have purchased something and you need to fix some issues. Um, it takes a lot of time for you to be connected with a human, and sometimes chatting with the AI uh, is not really doing it. It takes a lot of time. It's frustrating. And, it could have easily been solved if you had just been connected with a human in the first place. So people are getting bored with those kind of systems where you can just, where like the human connection just has been lost. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
that's
for
one.
example, for those kind of tasks, what actually I think the actual job is not that you want to talk with a person, but you want it solved as soon as possible, right? And as
Yeah,
easily
you
as
want to solve
possible.
this as soon as possible, but the AI is not doing it.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, yeah, exactly. You point the problem. The thing is that they're creating systems that are not solving the problem. They're just like another, I don't know, another layer in the pie, but
yeah,
not.
so I think it's hard. I think it's hard. I don't think
That,
I think it has the potential, but sometimes it's frustrating as well as that. And it happens to me. This is like a personal experience. I actually dislike when I'm browsing YouTube videos and all of these videos are AI generated. I just want to filter them out. I'm not interested. like on YouTube AI generated content. I'm interested in, listening to you, listening to people that have like a perspective, like the podcast that you mentioned, like people that are researching, that are possibly working with AI, but they have like a different um, way to use, overall digital transformation tools to make a point. So whenever I see AI generated music, AI generated videos, AI generated images, I'm just like, I don't like that. Yeah.
That's a good point. I think that, well, there's a lot to talk about in that. And one of the things related to podcasts, I think that, for example, AI generated podcast or a human generated podcast, which one should you choose or do you prefer? And I think that it depends because if I'm studying a topic that is totally new or that is a niche topic, for example, like I'm studying something where I work in my company, and we're
Hmm.
using a system for media companies that there's zero podcasts about that, or if there is a podcast, it's very general, not the particular thing that I need to learn. This
Hmm.
platform called Notebook LM helps you to create a podcast about that if you pass the references and the things. So it's
Hmm.
really useful, and the podcasts are amazing. So I use it a lot to learn those specific things. But when there are more general
Well,
things
that's
that
pretty
I'm,
interesting. You should share it, like, so we can share it with people. Yeah, that's like a
yeah,
pretty interesting way
yeah,
to kind
that's
of
a
research
really
and
good
learn
way to
more.
learn.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's personalized, hyper
Hmm.
personalized. So that's one of the things that I think it's useful. But some of the things that I don't think it's going to replace is, like I say, the Moonshots podcast, for example, because they
Hmm.
have a unique insight. I like to listen to them, but also I trust their insights. They are experts in the topic, and they use AI to even improve their own podcast and research stuff. So I don't think that AI is gonna replace those kind of
Yeah.
podcasts where you
Yeah.
just
Or
want
like
to where
content
you
and like
need
people actually.
guidance. Exactly, where
Mhm.
you need
Yeah.
guidance. Let's say like that. You trust those guidance. You don't trust so much the AI because it's sometimes more generic or more aligned to other things. You trust these kind of experts or in content creators. So I think that in this case where you are more general, or maybe what you don't, sometimes you don't want let's to maybe the most perfect thing, but you like to listen to people. It's more like you like their voices, their conversations. So it's different. Maybe you're not consuming their, hey, the topic, I want to learn faster, but you want to consume the conversation, the friendliness, maybe those kind of things. That's what I think.
Okay, so that's cool. So like, um, and just like I have like a one final question before we just like end our little conversation about AI. But overall, do you think AI is making people more creative or totally the opposite?
That's a good question, and I have been thinking about that because in the PMBers community, they asked that something
Yeah.
related to that, if AI is what's making us dumber or not, or how to make sure that AI doesn't replace us. And what I think is that in this age, what we need to know is have very strong fundamentals, principles, and meaning. Because if you don't have a purpose in your life, then yeah, it's gonna be really difficult to know how to navigate this world. What do you want? How to use AI? If it's a good way to use it or
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
And the way that I think about it, for example, is one of my that I heard from Jordan Peterson. A life that it has a lot of meaning is a life where you have objectives that are growing, let's say like mountains that are growing, and each time the mountain gets
Yeah,
higher.
so it's
So you get to
gradual.
a better version of yourself and you get a new and better adventures. So it's not about getting to a place, but always it's a path. It's about
Strives
the
to
trip,
become
the
better.
path.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's what I think. And in if we if and that is what I find as purpose in my life, getting better as a human. So not this is not just getting more output in general, but as a human also getting better. So what I was thinking is, okay, if that's the case, then it's just not, it's how do I get better with and without AI? For example, if for some reason I'm in a offline and I don't have any internet and no I
Yeah.
am a worse version of myself or a better version of myself.
Yeah.
And if
And what you
I'm using
mentioned is
AI in
that
a
very
way that
interesting.
I'm
Yeah,
going
because
this way, then I'm not using AI the right way, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, because
that's what
people
I'm thinking.
without AI sometimes they forgot to even write emails, write your own comments on, Instagram or like your YouTube comments. People use AI for everything. And I think to lose your capacity to even do the basic stuff is just like completely wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
like I think it's about you also being conscious about if you're being a better person. That means you have better skills, you have you have each time better goals, and you're navigating to a better self in
Yeah.
all of your perspectives, family, um, yeah, family, and sports, whatever.
Friends. Yeah,
But
hobbies.
that's the point. If AI is doing everything, maybe you are, yeah, getting more output or more salary or whatever, more money. But
Hmm.
if you take out the AI and you're going this way, then you're using AI the wrong way. If you're
Right. So
just
you're
in
not
a
growing and you're like
downward,
getting
yeah,
that's
in
like
a
a good
downward
perspective and like maybe something to
trajectory.
think about because I actually, yeah, I do that too, by the way, Andy. I kind of like I assess my overall performance during the day and I assess like how many times I used AI. Was I capable of doing this by myself or like did I use
Yeah,
AI the entire day? So when I feel like, oh my God, I even used AI for this stupid question.
yeah, exactly. So are you a better, I don't know, daughter? Are you a better friend? Do you have better health? Um, do you have a better mindset? Do you have a better orientation and guidance towards life? So that those things are important, right? Because like AI is a technology. It's nothing. Technologies have been here for a long time, and digital
Mhm.
technologies, for example, social media. So you can use
Yeah.
YouTube to watch 100 videos of cats a day and nothing more,
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
you keep making the same amount of money or whatever.
Yeah.
But what
But
actually is
instead, you can
happening is
actually
that
watch
you're
other
seeing that you're
videos.
getting worse. You're in a
Yeah.
downwards path, right? You
Yeah.
know less, you're not, you have better ring skills, or you don't know better things about where to aim at, or uh, you have, your life is not more enriched, right? But there are other kind of people that use YouTube to watch really cool podcasts like the one that you suggested me from Louis Holmes, and
Yeah.
those, so
Always
you can
house.
use
Yeah.
tools, and
Yeah.
I'm getting better. So even if I, let's say, for some reason, the internet collapsed tomorrow because I don't know, a solar storm or whatever,
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
better
And it
version today
actually
that I was 1 year
collapsed.
ago or
Yeah.
2 years ago. So I think that's the question that we actually need to make.
Yeah. And that what you just mentioned, it's pretty interesting because we've had those outages, and people have like collapsed without the internet, without ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI tools are now available to us. And and I don't think that's the point. Like what you just mentioned, it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. It's something that like I'm going to practice it myself as well. And so, before we go, I just want to know, like, do you have any plans to build something with AI? What would that be? I know like people create everything with AI, and is there like a special project that you would want to achieve using AI or something. So in my case, I want to see. I know that there are different ways to use AI images, right? But what if you can like mix both, like your creativity using your own talents, but also like kind of like immersing yourself with this AI and what can you do? So that could be for me like perhaps like an advertising campaign or something like that. That I know people are like a bit skeptical with these, but we don't know yet. But like this is something that I would want to explore. So what about you?
I think that's a very interesting point. And just to round up what I was saying is, yeah, my rule of thumb to see if I'm using AI correctly or not is, am I getting to a better version of myself
Yeah.
from one year ago or not? If
Mm,
the answer is no, then I'm using AI in the
incorrectly.
wrong way. And
Yeah.
yeah, the other way is, if tomorrow there is no AI, am I
Yeah. What
a
will you
better
do with
version
that?
of myself or not? Because
Mm.
that's the question. If maybe AI disappears and you are a worse version of yourself, then you're
Yeah. You
using
completely
AI not
forgot
to
about
make,
like
to get to a better
everything.
version of yourself. You're just using that thing. It's just like, yeah, that thing is just carrying you away, and you're just getting worse. Like the person that is just using Instagram to watch 1,000 videos and becomes really unhealthy. Let's say like that. Or
Yeah.
you can use it to get 100% better each year or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice.
And
And
yeah, what you were mentioning about AI, I'm definitely, I like one advice that Peter Diamond has said, and is that the let's say the job of the future is going to be entrepreneurship. I love entrepreneurship, and I really think
yeah.
that
And I think we
entrepreneur
are like we started this podcast because we were like, oh my God, let's build something. So I think like
exactly.
we
And with these
that's pretty
tools,
cool.
like, that's what we can do. If you are worried, hey, AI is going to leave me out of my job because it's going to replace me, maybe what I think we should be thinking is, how do we start our own business with AI and compete with the company? If the AI is so good that it can create a lot of value for a company, maybe it can also help you to do the same and create a lot of value with
Yeah.
those digital things. And yeah, that's one of the reasons with PM Beers that I think that one of the what I say, if we have a lot of talent there,
Yeah.
why it doesn't become like hub of new companies and new creation of
No, it's like
great
actually like
things.
I feel like you guys are like product leaders, like visionaries, people that creators. So that's pretty cool. Do you perhaps want to share with us, or like maybe we can share like in an upcoming announcement, any particular conferences in the future?
Yeah, we're gonna have a conference on October 24th.
Okay,
That's
that's pretty
called
cool.
Noto
Okay,
Conference, the
yeah,
Noto Conference. And yeah, it's gonna be very cool. Very important leaders are gonna go there.
yeah.
And yeah, I hope to see you also there, Annie, because it's gonna be in
Yeah,
Bogota.
of course. Like, of
In
course.
person.
That's like, hopefully I can be there. So okay, so pretty exciting news, Andy. And with that, I want to thank you once again for all of these conversations that you've been having and all of the learnings and insights that you've been sharing with us. It's always so great to have one episode where we discuss together what we've been learning throughout, you know, our podcast conversations. So um, Andy, with that, please share with us the resources that you mentioned for better learning.
Sure, Annie. And it was great to see you, and hope to see you and the audience in the next episode.
All right. Okay. So thank you, Andy, so much, and see you on the next one.
Bye, Annie.